Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Just want to go through a few charts here in the morning. Got the MSTR chart here posted in front of you. MicroStrategy, this is the monthly chart. I mean, overall, you look at a higher time frame, it just looks like it simply have gone way too far, way too fast, got close to 1.618 level. And it's just back testing certain Fibonacci levels below, is able to hold back against this the previous cycle high here after back testing 0.786. So far it's still pretty healthy trend here. There's really nothing bearish about this chart. Look at the Bollinger Band, it continues to expand upwards. The 20-month continues to point up. There's a lot of things that are still, pretty positive about it. Ichimoku is still about the Tenkan and Kijun. And the same thing with the Sopichi cloud here. It's just still, kind of above a lot of these support zones over here. Super trend is still intact. There's really nothing that is really getting me scared on the higher time frame. Well, let's look a little bit into the lower time frame, see if we see any potential warning sign here. Well, you do have a little bit of a bearish cross here with the Kijun. Now kind of get back above the Tenkan here on the weekly, and the price is still kind of underneath both of these Tenkan and Kijun lines, but it's still about the Ichimoku cloud. So a little bit of an issue there, and you also have a little bit of a flattening 20-week moving average after it's been like such a monstrous move up. So maybe just a little bit of correction, but it's something that's important to monitor. You already had a test of the upper Bollinger Band and a lower Bollinger Band, and it looks like both of those have already been tested, and right now you're just kind of stuck in the middle here. So we'll have to continue to kind of monitor that over time, but it is still within the Bollinger support band. It's still about the 21-week exponential moving average. So there is really still a little bit indecision here, trying to figure out the trend moving forward, but overall I'm still favorable on MSTR just because the higher time frame is still, for the most part, higher highs and higher lows, and I think we just simply got a little bit way too far, way too fast. As you can see on the Bollinger Band, you have a few weeks that just close up, like way outside the upper Bollinger Band here. I think we're just getting punished for it. Same thing can be seen here on the monthly. You hit candles number 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of more or less in a row, and even this candle over here close above the upper Bollinger Band. You simply have to wait for upper Bollinger Band to expand before you can really truly have another move up, and it just simply hasn't really had that chance to do that until recently. So we'll see whether or not the month of September or August we end up having, not August, September, October, end up having a little bit more of a breakout. MSTR over Bitcoin chart, this is a little bit more significant here, because the MSTR over Bitcoin chart actually looks quite favorable. And it's been looking favorable really since May of 2022. It doesn't look like the whales think that the Bitcoin chart is over quite just yet, because they are still in this leverage play, in terms of MSTR. They're still in it. There's really no sign that they want to leave yet. On the Bollinger Band, it shows the 20-week over here. You can see that the price of this MSTR over Bitcoin ratio is still about the 20-week moving average, and it's finding pretty good support over here so far. And you can also see on the weekly Ichimoku is still above the Tenkan and the Kijun, and it just looks a lot more bullish compared to just looking at MicroStrategy, just looking at Bitcoin alone. And it just looks like it wants to continue to move up. You have a little bit of a back test of the super trend here twice, and it looks like it's been holding. And if you're also looking at the Sopichi cloud, you can also see it's just kind of a little bit stuck in the range here so far. But so far, there's nothing really like too bearish about this chart. So I do think that most likely MicroStrategy is going to end up having, some bullish continuation. It's a little bit sideways, so you never really know. It could potentially, BART down where there's like a big giant downward move over here. But I think you already tried to do that twice, so we'll see. It's still stuck in the range right now. And I think, bottom of the range is right now like $100, and that's going to be a buy zone. And top of the range over here is around 180, so that's going to be a sell zone until proven otherwise. And until then, it's just stuck in a rectangle. We'll see what it does. I still favor, potential going upwards. The reason was because, really like U.S. liquidity is going up. I think the Chinese liquidity has just kind of been going sideways here for the last couple of months, but most likely is going to end up going up. European money supply also is going up too. Japanese money supply is also going up, so I think the most likely trend moving forward is going to be up. Now, Coinbase is a little bit of a different story. It just simply doesn't look as bullish as MicroStrategy, unfortunately, but that's okay. You have still the same kind of look where it's just basically correcting 6 months at this horizontal zone over here, and it's just doing what it has to do to really trying to consolidate sideways to kind of digest this big giant monster move up. It's basically getting rejected at 0.618 and it's trying to find support at 0.382. So we're finding support, forming a little bit of high low. So really nothing scary when you're looking at like the bigger time frame picture, right? It just looks like it's actually got a little bit of market symmetry. Over here, it looks like it was a little bit finding support here at 0.382, but ended up breaking down. Here, it looks like we're just basically getting rejected here at 0.618. But I think eventually we're going to end up, continuing to kind of challenge that upwards, because overall it's just been forming higher highs and higher lows, right? If you look at it a little bit closer here on the, actually, I'm going to show the Ichimoku on the monthly here. Tenkan is rising up, is 199. There's a strong possibility that by the end of the month we're going to end up closing above 199, just because of how possibly slipping is pointing up to potentially surface a pretty decent support zone over there. It is getting a little bit closer to the Ichimoku cloud here, but it's still about the 0.382, so it's underneath the Tenkan indication. You did have a little bit of a bearish crossover here on the weekly, so it might take a little bit more time to kind of get back above, but I think 200 is probably going to be a magnet here moving forward in the short term. So we'll see what happens. Looking at the couple other indicators here, let me see. Like there's on the order blocks indicator by Lux Algo, you can see that there is demand zone down here. So I think it's probably more likely for price to kind of get support around where it's at right now rather than breaking down further. So we'll see, right? But overall, this is still considered, as far as I'm concerned, still considered a little bit of like a higher low. And overall, this still looks more or less, I'm just going to do like a really rough kind of pitchfork here. This, for the most part, still looks a little bit like a pitchfork for me. And it's going to be hard for me to just draw it from scratch here. But this, for most part, just looks like a channel for me, right? And it looks like it's been hitting the bottom of the channel, and it just looks like it's been trying to go up. So I'm not really that scared about Coinbase. I have a small position I'm going to keep holding. But yeah, it's still looking like it wants to just keep going higher, but it just simply has to consolidate this big giant move up here. CleanSpark is a little bit tough to kind of interpret. What I have to say about CleanSpark is if you look at the logarithmic thing, and I talked to Matt about this yesterday, you look a little bit at the logarithmic here, it looks like it broke down underneath the 0.618, it's just having a hard time trying to break back above, right? But if you look at, this is the log scale for the fib, but you look at the linear scale, it tells you a little bit of a picture. So it basically just tells you that it's range bound right now. It tells you that it kind of broke underneath the 0.236 and is kind of breaking back above and back testing it. And this is a pretty important level. Previously, it was support over here, got rejected over here, got rejected over here. And then, we broke through and we haven't really had a back test of this zone until recently. So to me, it might still be a back test of this zone over here. So far, there's a gap above and, the bears have really pushed it all the way from like 17, 18, all the way down to like $9. And there's a gap over here that still hasn't been filled yet. It looks like it might have a little bit of an island reversal here, unless if the bears are able to bring the price down further, which so far they're having a hard time doing so. Just looking at a little bit of a lower time frame here, looking at the order blocks, it looks like there's a demand zone underneath, really anywhere from like $11 all the way to like 9.5. So there's a little bit of a support down there. It looks like the whales want to accumulate around this range and maybe a little bit lower after this unfortunate distribution of a BART pattern over here, which actually doesn't really happen in stocks that often. This is like a crypto, like a Bitcoin kind of pattern. But it ended up barring down, and so far it looks like you might be finding support here at this Fibonacci zone. That's really all there is to it. Right now it's at the volume shelf over here. There's a big volume shelf void up here, so if price goes up, I'm going to push back up to like 15 in a hurry if Bitcoin ends up doing something good, right? Looking at a higher time frame, there are like a pretty clear kind of look here where price just got rejected to 0.5 and back testing the 0.236. you know, and 0.336 was previously, resistance here, and got broken through, and now it's back testing it. So far, not really anything like too entirely bearish here, right? The other thing I also want to point out too is the 20-month moving average is still pointing up, and it's still potentially going to serve as support even if price breaks down further. And on top of that, if you look at the EMA ribbon, like the 20 and 50, 20 50, like 20 looks like it wants to cross back about 50, and the 20-month and a 50-month EMA are right there here as support for CleanSpark, right? So there's a lot of kind of confluence basically telling you, hey, maybe we're at a good support zone. Although it's been quite scary and it's been kind of unfortunately very, very bearish on the short term, it's probably going to end up taking a lot more time for it to kind of repair the damage of this big giant red candle over here, because you did get rejected up at the cloud over here, and price is currently underneath the monthly Tenkan in the kitchen, so it might take a little bit more time to kind of correct before re-challenging the cloud. We'll see. This look is just unfortunate. I mean, it's just unfortunate because it just went way too far, way too fast, and unfortunately, instead of correcting sideways under support, above support here, it just ended up correcting through price. So a little bit unfortunate, on the higher time frame. Still doesn't look too bad. If you're looking at the let's see here. Yeah, if you're looking at like the 2-month or 3-month chart on the Super it's still trying to break back above the Tenkan. There's a little bit of a bullish cross up here on the Tenkan, but price just simply way underneath of that. The monthly bullish cross of the Super is still intact, so we'll see what happens, but I think it's probably going to end up correcting sideways for a little bit longer before going up. It can even potentially go down a little bit further before going up, and that's just the truth, right? Like right now, price broke down, and even if price goes down even further, it could still be potentially putting in a higher low, right? Because like honestly, price can go down even to the 0.136 level. It could still be a higher low. I don't think it's necessarily going to end up having to do that, because I think we're at a good support zone here for Fibonacci and a good support zone here at the volume shelf here. So I think it's probably going to be okay, but we'll see. Mara is basically is just channeling up. Is near the bottom of the channel. It looks like a pretty good reward zone, support zone over here at the bottom of the channel, as well as the Fibonacci level, the 0.136. So it looks like it's bouncing where it needs to bounce, and right now, it looks like it probably wants to go back to like up here at this area of the channel over here, as well as the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. Probably end up getting rejected there, but I think price probably wants to grab it up to like $20 over time. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. A couple other things too, because CleanSpark doesn't have that. Hang on just a sec. Because CleanSpark doesn't have that breakdown, because Mara doesn't have that breakdown like CleanSpark has. I think Mara has a better chance to hit like 20, and you're gonna get some rejection here probably at the Tenkan. It could even go up higher to like 20.5, or 21, somewhere up here on the top of the Super cloud, and that would still, be some resistance zone here. Probably over the next few weeks, it probably end up going sideways and try to break back above. We'll see what Bitcoin does, right? But overall, I still think that it's just looking like, technically speaking, it probably just still need more time to kind of break through this damage it has so far. But I do think that based on the zone here around like $14, that was probably a really good buying opportunity. A couple other things too. If you look at the Bollinger Band right now, it's still underneath resistance, but the Bollinger Support Band is turning flat, so I think it's going to have a pretty decent chance to kind of break back above and back test it. So I still think 20 is probably going to be a pretty decent target for Mara moving forward. Bitfarm is the same chart as Mara. Honestly, it's just been forming a channel, and it's also been hitting the Fibonacci level just as you would expect. I really don't have anything else in addition to say about Bitfarms, except that currently is having a little bit of a hard time trying to break back above the 0.236 level at $2.5, and currently is getting a little bit rejected out of the Ichimoku cloud here. But overall, it's a very, very similar chart as Mara. I don't really have a whole lot new to say about Bitfarms here. CIFR is not looking bad. CIFR is basically got rejected at where you think it would get rejected at. and it basically just came back down and find support here at the weekly cloud. There's really nothing to report on CIFR because it's still looking like the 20-month moving average is still going to end up having, a pretty good support moving forward. Yeah, but there's nothing that I'm really getting scared on this chart or anything like that. The zone that it needs to break above is still going to be the 5 to 5.5 zone, and right now we're still stuck on this big giant volume shelf over here. So right now it's still stuck in the range until proven otherwise, but overall I still think that it's building a lot of energy on the way up. That's CIFR. IREN had a beautiful back test of this symmetrical triangle. That's best view here on the 2-week chart. Also back tested the volume shelf over here. Also is back testing this volume shelf up here, right? So we're able to find some support around like $7.5, $8 range. Probably going to gravitate back up towards like $12 or like $11.5, somewhere around there. There's really not much that's really that bearish about this chart. It's back above 20 week here. It's back above, the super trend is positive. It's back up, like there's really, actually not 20 week, this is a 40 week. It's still underneath the boomerang support band, still underneath the 20. So you're going to have a little bit of resistance here before we get back up to like, 11.5 to 12. And it can take a few weeks to kind of bounce around here before going up there. But so far, like on a higher time frame on the monthly, there's really not much to really get bearish over it. Because it's just simply got rejected at 0.5 and back to the 0.236 and passed so far, right? And it simply just got way outside Upper Bollinger Band, had a tweezer, and just back tested, some of the stuff down below. All this stuff looks pretty healthy still. The Ichimoku had a bullish cross. Currently prices underneath the Tenkan Nikkei, unfortunately, and but right now the Sapichi looks like it's trying to reclaim the Tenkan here, right? So there's really not much really that bearish about the chart here on IREN. Overall, it's just forming higher highs and higher lows. Finally, I'm just going to talk about WULF here, and I'm going to end the show here. The chart for Terra WULF also looks very, very nice hammer candle here. Nice, still still outside the upper Bollinger Band on monthly, which is absolutely insane. Back to the volume shelf level over here. 20-month is still curling up. And the Ichimoku it's actually closing above the Tenkan Nikkei, had a bullish cross a couple of months ago. There's nothing bearish about this chart. Price probably wants to gravitate back up towards the 0.136 level over time. The only issue that is really stopping it from doing so is that the monthly Bollinger Band needs to continue to expand, allowing price to do that. That's it. I'm gonna try to circle back and maybe do more video for these miners, maybe towards the end of the week or maybe even during weekend. But anyway, just want to give you a quick update. Take care. Bye.